Got to get the microphone in place. I didn't have it in place. I know you can't see it, but it's here. My trusty old TLM, Neumann TLM 103. Let me see what that looks like. There we go. Gotta make sure that it's rotated properly. So the capsule, there we go. There we go. Should sound fairly normal. So, have you had a chance to play with Final Cut Pro 11.1? I have for sure over the last, since it came out. Now, we've been talking about a feature update. I specifically have been talking about a feature update since January before NAB. That's exactly what happened. It came out with a feature update before NAB. Now, the only thing that we had, I was saying 11.0.2 or 0.0.3, and they just sounded weird for a feature update. I'd rather have them just change it to 11.1 like they did and give us more features. It's 11.0.2 doesn't sound like a feature update. It sounds like a bug fix. Who the heck knows? Maybe the 0.1 full numbers are going to be feature updates and the 0.0 point something are going to be bug fixes. No idea. So what do you all think about 11.1? I like it. I've been using it. It seems like it's faster, more stable so far. It does to me anyway. Jason Jasenberg, good morning, Final Cut TV and Coffee. Happy Final Cut Pro 11.1. Absolutely, Jason. So, Jason, I don't recognize your name. Let us know where you're watching from. Just want to keep track of things. I know, buddy, LumaFusion 5.2.2 for iOS also released yesterday. Very cool. I didn't catch that. And also updated where compressor and motion. Yes, absolutely. Our friend Carter Bing says, good morning. Absolutely. It's fantastic. It's a good... Who was surprised on Thursday? The Final Cut Pro team is all over the place. They're all over the place with their naming convention. They're all over the place with when they update a Pro app. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. It is appreciated. When they update the Pro apps, whether they're going to be features or bug fixes, they're just like, poof. They're like this. That's how it works. But we were talking about this since January, and I'll play a little video in a little bit that shows you when we discussed a feature update before NAB. Probably a dozen times since January. A feature update before NAB. A feature update before NAB. A feature update before NAB. We discussed it over and over and over again. Our friend Jason Jasenberg. I'm in Renton, Washington, south of Seattle. Excellent. Our friend Alista. Good morning from Jamaica. Daniel. Good morning from Montreal, Quebec. Absolutely. And if you don't have your tea or your coffee, you're missing out. So far, I have really gotten into, look, movable markers. It's been on the list for years and years and years. Click and drag, click and drag. Now, you can only drag as far as the end of a clip, but there's a way you can drag beyond the end of a clip with something else that they've added in the new version 11.1. I must say right off the bat, congratulations to the Final Cut Pro team. We talk about the Final Cut Pro team all the time. They watch this. They absolutely watch this show, and we wanted to just let them know this 11.1 is so cool, and you got it out before NAB. Jason Jasenberg says, I've contributed before mostly about Final Cut and how it would work with Apple Vision Pro. Okay, there you go. Very, very cool. So the things that first off, they've added a ton of new titles in the dynamic section. They've added new transitions. I haven't checked the backgrounds yet, but here's one thing that I wish they would do. Somehow differentiate between the titles that pre-existed and the new titles. Put something in the name, put a banana before all the new titles, emoji. Give us some way to determine which ones are new instead of just grouping 67 titles, they're all mixed up together. I did a video when the titles came out, I think it was 10.6.6, something like that. I did a video, and I went through all the different titles that they had because I wanted to know. You know, when I want to know something, I'll put a list together and then I'll publish it. So movable markers to me is very cool because that's been frustrating. And then you can also drag them off. And then what else? All the titles, all the new titles, the titles they're adding a lot of new content to Final Cut Pro. And I really like that because we are, let's see, 9, 6, 7, 8 months away from Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. If it happens, I don't no guarantee that it is, but if it happens in November. Now, since we got 11.1, now the cards are off the table. We could get 11.2 in August, or we could get 11.2 at the Creative Summit. I tell you, hard to keep up with those chaps on the Final Cut Pro team. Let me tell you, they said, we watch this show and they say this and they say that, and the people are looking, we'll do this to surprise everybody. Well, I was expecting a feature update before NAB. It just makes complete sense. You get a little bit of buzz at NAB, although let me know if I'm wrong. I see no Final Cut Pro events at NAB. 0 Final Cut Pro centric events at NAB. I don't see any vendors. A lot of times vendors would sponsor a Final Cut Pro event or something. Now, I'm not talking about FMC. FMC absolutely has some Final Cut Pro classes in their post-production world track. They have some Final Cut Pro classes. But as far as actual events, sponsoring Final Cut Pro, sponsoring the team, what happened to the FCPX Guru Gathering? It's been gone for years. What happened to Faster Together stage? 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, Faster Together had extensive Final Cut Pro events, different places. The Final Cut Pro team was there in 2017 and 18 in the convention center with a special presentation for everybody. There were hundreds and hundreds of people that showed up. It was free. The team was there. Since 2019 was the last time I've seen anything Final Cut Pro specific at NAB, and that was when somebody from the team was on the Faster Together stage talking about Final Cut Pro. And they identified themselves as, I'm from the Final Cut Pro team, Apple's Final Cut Pro team, and this is some of the latest stuff. And she talked about it as a woman. But that was 2019. There's been nothing like that since then. 2020, of course, is COVID. 2021 was COVID. So 2022, 2023, 2024, last year, and then 2025. I don't know of anything Final Cut Pro related to NAB. I'm not talking about the Final Cut Pro teams behind the scenes talking to developers. That's nothing to do with our audience, nothing to do with what I'm talking. I'm talking about a specific Apple-approved Final Cut Pro event for the public. For the public. Now, I've heard from different people who used to sponsor events, and I know why they won't do them anymore, but that's a discussion for another day. That's a discussion for another day. So let's go over here real quick. Now, let me see here. How do I want to do this? Which way do I want to go? I got to decide. First, let me do this. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we do have this out. This is the current view Final Cut TV backyard. It looks a little bit gray, but it's not. It's nice and sunny out. It's very nice and sunny out there. Things are just starting to wake up from the winter. They are just starting to wake up, so let's see what we want to do here. I want to here we go. This should be it. Let's see what this does. I think this will work. Yeah, there we go. So, as usual, I have Final Cut Pro 11.1 Master Tutorial Master List. So over there, I'm keeping track of all the latest tutorials. So this first one is mine, which is draggable timeline markers. You can drag the markers past the clip boundaries. There's a trick, and I've been using this for years, but the new version of Final Cut makes it even easier. You can drag clip markers beyond the clip boundaries. And there's our friends Steve and Mark. Those silly-looking AI caricatures look nothing like either one of them. They look nothing. It looks like Steve's son and Mark's cousin or something. But they just, I looked at that and said, who is that? That's not Steve and Mark. It looks like nothing like them. And there's our friend Jen Jager. She has hers up. Our friend, this is actually Dylan Bates's son. He has if you watch the video, it's his son. It's a much younger version of Dylan Bates. And then our friend Dylan John. And I'll keep adding to this list for appropriate 11.1 tutorials. I have a couple more that I might do. I just do small things. So this is what we have right now. Just go to fcpx.tv and I'll keep track of this master list of Final Cut Pro 11.1 tutorials. As I always do, I always make master lists. I want these lists for myself, and I publish them for everybody else to see. We got a lot of people watching this morning. So do you have a favorite feature or two? Does anybody have a favorite feature or two? What do you think about 11.1? I like it. I like it. It's taken, let me see, 5 months, 4 or 5 months to get this feature update since we had 11.0 at the Creative Summit in November. It's well worth it. There are some cool features in this new version. So you can watch the tutorials, go to the fcpx.tv, and I'll have a list of all the different tutorials. I'll keep it updated. I'll update it later today. We got about 50 people watching live right now, which is very, very cool. Let's see where they're from. Yeah, YouTube and X are about even, and then Facebook takes up the rest of them, rest of the view slots. Thank you very much. I'm going to I have a mute button, a physical mute button, which I really, really like. I love having a physical mute button. That's ever since the days of working in a recording studio. So there's like, there's 5 major feature updates. You have movable markers. You have an improvement on the tracking, the AI tracking. You have reveal clips from a multicam in the browser with 2 Shift F clicks. They have to do it twice, and it'll go inside to give you the actual source clip from a multicam clip. That's 3 things. And then you have, you can rename your audio effects now. That's 4 things. And what else was there? Oh, one of the big ones is it has a native built-in, what is it called? An adjustment clip. They don't call it an adjustment track. It's an adjustment clip. It's built in now. And it has some advantages because it's built in. Now, I use a custom keyboard setup. So I saw somewhere in one of the tutorials that I'm not sure if Apple has this native, that option A is the adjustment clip. The adjustment clip, they call it. Apple A is the adjustment clip. That's what I bring it down with. You can go up to the edit menu and go all the way down, and it says add adjustment clip, and then it'll add it for you, and then you can stretch it out. So that's a big one. So that's 5 new feature things. And to me, it seems like it's improved. It seems like it's improved speed-wise. I'm very, very satisfied with it so far. Marker mobiles are very, very cool. Yes. And how long have we had that on our list? We've had it on our list forever. Top request. So let's go over to there. So this is the top list. This is the list, 101 requests for Final Cut Pro in 2025. And there's lots of things on there. Finally, the scrolling timeline, we got that a few years ago. Roles-based mixer, I still want to see a roles-based mixer. Project improvements, you still can't scrub a project in the browser. You can scrub compound clips, you can scrub multicam clips, you can scrub regular clips. You can't scrub a project in the browser to this day. However, you can scrub a project in the share menu. When you bring up the share menu, you can scrub through the project and the little icon, but in the browser, you still can't scrub through a project. Very, very strange. Anyway, where is this one is one they absolutely, the Final Cut Pro team took from my list of ideas, drag a customized effect from the inspector to a clip or selected clips in the timeline or event browser. This has been up for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And I even did the graphic. And of course, they incorporated that recently. They do know this list. They know it very well. But I love to have dual timelines in Final Cut Pro. It has it in Resolve. I love to have dual timelines to be able to drag from one to the other. Drag from this timeline to this timeline rather than opening and closing and opening and closing. But anyway, marker improvements. Look at this. Marker improvements. Draggable markers. Number 49. This has been on the list for a long time. This is another one that I'll have to cross out when I get a chance. But anyway, there it is. This month I have Pimped my Final Cut Pro with Caption Animator, Caption Translator, Color Finale. Now, where is the audio mixer update? Because no plugins exist for our requests. Not so far. It's not there so far, but it certainly will be getting there. It's the audio mixer's there. Maybe, you know, who the heck knows? Maybe that'll be in 10.2. If we see 10.2 at the Creative Summit in November, perhaps it'll be there. Maybe. So I'm doing really well with my Mac Mini Pro. It's doing a really, really good job. I'm very, very pleased with it. M4. And then, of course, we have the other big thing was the Quantec audio plugin, the Reverb Simulator, it's fantastic. It is sonically fantastic. It really absolutely is. Now, we saw an extensive preview of that at the Creative Summit last year. They did a whole section. It's called Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. They usually have a motion track or something. Usually not so much Logic, but at the Creative Summit 2024, they gave us first off, Logic got updated from 11.0 to 11.1 at the Creative Summit, and they added this Quantec room simulator, and it is fantastic. It is a fantastic job. Now, I don't recall the Final Cut Pro team getting involved with hardware simulation before. So the Quantec is a hardware room reverb simulator that they said that they sampled all the different settings and stuff and they emulated them digitally. I don't think the Final Cut Pro team's been involved with that kind of stuff before. Hardware simulation, Logic, perhaps. I think Logic has. They have a lot of cool plugins. Yes, Logic has. But I don't think the Final Cut Pro team has. So I presume they borrowed this from Logic. I am wrong if I say for audio mixing, you must do XML trip with DaVinci or Logic Pro. Yes. But if you go to Logic Pro, you don't come back into Final Cut with the mix. It doesn't work that way. It's only a one-way trip at this point. You can mix down stems and import those back into Final Cut, or you can just do a final stereo mix and bring that back into Final Cut. But you don't want to go back and forth between Logic and Final Cut, XML in, XML out, XML in, XML out. It's not developed that way, and it doesn't work that way. The XML that Logic has, they don't really care about video. They only care about audio. So you can also do it from, where is that? You can also do it from LumaFusion. LumaFusion has a FCP XML export, and you can export the Final Cut Pro. You can export the LumaFusion project into Final Cut Pro with that add-on package. I think it's like $19, something like that. Boy, that coffee tastes good today. It really, really tastes good today. All right, let's go over there back to our... Let me just do this. We'll go back and watch. A brand new feature in Final Cut Pro 11.1. All right, let's see if this works. I think it will. Yeah, there we go. This is one of the tutorials. Let's see what this does. A brand new feature in Final Cut Pro 11.1 is the ability to drag markers, but you can't drag them past the boundary edge of a clip. They are still clip markers. You can also drag it off of the clip to delete it. What if you actually want a sequence marker? Well, one of the new features in Final Cut Pro is an adjustment clip. I made a custom keyboard shortcut, Option A, to place an adjustment clip in the timeline. You can find the command Add Adjustment Clip under the Edit menu in Final Cut Pro. When you add a marker to the adjustment layer, you can put it anywhere that you want in the timeline. It is not restricted by clip boundaries. To go one step further, I'm going to place this adjustment clip on an anchor clip at the beginning of the Final Cut Pro timeline. That will allow this adjustment clip to remain in place regardless of what I do in the magnetic timeline. It'll stay put. I just use a generator. I put it at the beginning of the sequence and make it a few frames. And then I'll move the adjustment clip to be anchored to that clip. That way, no matter what I do in the timeline, as far as moving clips around, the adjustment clip will stay put. It will not move around. If I move clips around, the anchor clip stays put. So therefore, my markers don't move around. Movable markers has been on the list for many, many years. And now we finally got it with Final Cut Pro 11.1. So that's one. We'll play a little bit of some of the other ones too. So I did a tutorial about anchor clips and using the timeline. I've done 2 or 3 tutorials over the years, and it makes it easier. I used to use titles and just took the title out. Now with the adjustment clip, you don't have to do that. It's automatically blank. So it's very, very easy. I don't know why they don't have sequence markers after 14 years. The markers are clip markers. They stick with clips. You can't do a marker independent of the clip unless you do what I was talking about there. So let me just do one thing. Not one, and I'm going to do one other thing here. Oh, that's wrong, isn't it? Let me fix that while I'm talking to anybody. Do you have favorite features? Do you have favorite features? Let me just do this real quick. Let me do that. I'm just adding something to the list over there on the website. And we have a comment from our friend Daniel. I don't know much, but I do have read there is an update in both Final Cut Pro 11.1 and 11 latest update, but not much talk about it, that it eased cross workflow, but Apple says it to help. Well, the problem is that Logic doesn't really care about the video. They care about the audio only. So when you go back, you can't really go back and forth. Markers for sure. So basic and still wasn't an option after all these years. Kind of strange that they didn't have that movable markers after all this time. Let me just do one more thing here. But what else? Who likes the adjustment layer as their main feature update? I like both markers, the adjustment clip, and I like all the new titles and stuff. They're a little on the confusing side. They're just all jumped in together with all the previous ones, so you kind of got to go through and sort through them and see what's new and what's not, and how they work. Let me just do something here. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do, let me do this. We'll do this too. No, I understand that. Let me just do this, and then we'll go back to that page. Copy, copy. I'm just updating my website in real time for everybody. Let's do that, and do that, and do that, and then we'll watch another one. I'll be replacing adjustment layers with adjustment clips in my old projects. So yeah, there's some, Dylan Bates had a very cool free adjustment layer, like Adjustment Layer Pro or Plus or something. But I'm going to use adjustment clips now that it's native and it's just easy to, you hit it, in my case, Option A. So the reason I said I made a custom keyboard shortcut is this. I have a custom keyboard layout that I use. And I did not see, when I searched for under the edit menu, I didn't see any keyboard shortcut for adjustment clip. So I made one in my custom keyboard collection. That's why in this tutorial I said I made a custom one. It might be native if you just use the default one from Final Cut Pro. I think it might be. Yes, new titles classifications versus legacy ones would help our search. It's just a mess right now. They just pile them all in there. They got 76 or 70 some different titles. Why can't you distinguish for us which ones are new and which ones were here previously? I don't know of a way to do that other than going back to a previous version of Final Cut, opening it up and looking at all the things. Maybe I'll do that at some point and put that up as a little tutorial this week. I don't know. It seems like a simple thing. Distinguish them somehow. Put V2 or whatever, 11.1 or something on there to distinguish the old ones from the new ones. It's a little on the frustrating side that they don't do something like that. But regardless, I do appreciate the Final Cut Pro team. We want to keep saying that. We want them to know that we appreciate them because they do watch the show. They do watch the show. Let's do this. We'll go back to that. Go back to there.
Welcome everyone to another edition of Mac Break. I'm Steve and I'm here with my buddy Mark.
We're going to, let's see, we'll just do a little bit of this. I'm not going to do big sections. Why did that jump over there? I didn't want to do that. Well, let's do this then. Here we go. So there we are. We're going to do a little.
Excited to show you all the new features of the Final Cut Pro 11.1 update. It's good to see you, Mark.
You too, Steve. Always good to see you. Glad to be back here. Glad to have another release of Final Cut Pro. This is not a major update, but there are several cool new features, and we've late our motorcycle jumper, and I've used the comic effect on him, and there's the freeze frame. So let's say for this shot, when he comes up and freezes, he or she, I should say, and we have a title, I'd like to also show the award that they were giving. There was a trophy, and
so I think he goes into the image thing now and he pulls an image out of a trophy and modifies it and brings it in place. The AI thing, that's pretty cool. It's in the import. It's in the import window. I really like that. A little emoji would work nice. Yeah, something. Give us some kind of a numerical or give us the dates that they were added or something. It's just a big, when you get 500 titles and you're in the dynamic category right now, I think it's like 67. It's give us what was there before, separate them somehow, and then what are the new ones? Don't just throw them all into the title chest. It's frustrating that there's so many we don't know what's new and what's not. Now, Final Cut Pro team are waiting for audio mixing inside Final Cut or any audio help in audio side of Final Cut 11. Please listen, users. Yeah, they've heard that before. We've told them. They know about. They have an audio mixer. It's in there. I know it's in there, and they just haven't released it. Just like I knew the scrolling timeline was there, they just haven't released it yet. For whatever reason, we'll be patient, but. When I'm online, there was a discussion on Final Cut TV Radio, the Facebook group, recently when I put up that Apple did their ad about severance, and it was done on Mac Minis and iMacs and MacBook Pros, but they used Avid rather than Final Cut. And that doesn't bother me. I want Apple to let the production company choose whatever NLE that they want to. I don't want them to dictate, you have to use Final Cut Pro. No, I want you get them for their talent. Let them use whatever they want. If they want to use Avid, as clunky as Avid is, that's fine. That's fine. They can work with it. That's fine. But that's what they did recently. But there was a discussion on Final Cut TV and Radio, the Facebook group, and somebody said something about that. They used Avid rather than Final Cut. And a little discussion back and forth about different things. People were saying things. And, I'm not an Avid fan, but if that's your main NLE, that's fine. I mean, I use Final Cut, then I would use DaVinci Resolve by a large margin, and then LumaFusion if I'm on the iPad. Those are the three that I would use. I don't need any more. I've used Logic. I've used Avid before. It's just super, super clunky. Their titler was the worst in the industry. I don't know how I don't know if they've improved it, but their title was horrible, was absolutely horrible, was horrendous. I can't deal with something like that on a day-to-day basis. You're in Hollywood, you can, that's fine. I can't. So I don't want that. So here's my comparison. You have Avid, which is a big old tank. It's very powerful because of its infrastructure. And on the other side, you have DaVinci Resolve, which is like a pickup truck or a work van. It's got a lot of different tools in there that you might need. Plumbing tools, electrical tools, carpentry tools. You might have tools for roofing in there. So that's DaVinci Resolve. You got this big old tank that's Avid, and you have this work truck, work van that's DaVinci Resolve that has all kinds of tools and stuff. And then in the middle, you have a sports car. The sports car is Final Cut Pro. It's a sports car, it's Final Cut Pro. It's more modern, it's faster, it's a lot of things that the other two are not, but the other two have things that Final Cut Pro is not. So it's not, that's the difference. Avid, tank, DaVinci Resolve, a big work van, and Final Cut, a sports car. That's the way I look at the three of them. They all have good points, strong points. They all have different strong points. All right, so let's go back here. Let's go back here. No, I understand. And those who watch this will completely a sports car without all the crashes. Yeah, well, that's true. It's very stable. It's very fast. It's very nimble. Absolutely. I have to agree with that. And I'm listen, if you're in Hollywood and using Avid, that's completely fine. One of the main things about Avid is all the infrastructure that exists, all the servers, hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars of infrastructure that Avid connects to. When I talk about Avid and Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve, I'm not talking about all that extra stuff. I'm talking about the bare bones NLE to the bare bones NLE, not the infrastructure. I understand how that works. And I understand that makes Avid valuable. Its legacy, it's ingrained in Hollywood, completely fine. I'm not going to be editing any Hollywood films anytime soon. Okay, that's not going to be happening. So I'm not worried about that. If I was a youngster and I wanted to go into Hollywood, I would probably learn Avid, but I'd also learn Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve. There's a free version of DaVinci Resolve. There's a 90-day free trial of Final Cut Pro. I would definitely learn both of those. I would not go into Hollywood with Final Cut on the iPad and take my little iPad in there and say, I want to get a job in Hollywood. I got Final Cut on the iPad. No, you got to do something more than that. One thing that sounds like it is Avid's much easier for editing with different users. Absolutely. If only Final Cut had some kind of iCloud feature where they're sharing edits with different people, sure. I understand if you've been using Avid for 20 years, you're not going to want to switch. I've been using Final Cut for over 20 years. I'm not going to be switching. I am going to take DaVinci Resolve is absolutely by hands down the best for training for their products, manuals, etc. So DaVinci Resolve has a whole tier of free classes that they have online. End of April, I am going to make myself sit down and take the DaVinci Resolve classes. I'm not going to do all the classes. The DaVinci Resolve editing class, I am going to make myself take this time, which I haven't done in the past. I always started and stopped. I said, I'll get to it later. Well, later's never gets it if you don't make a concerted effort. So here's one of the other ones that I did. Now, you will recognize this, of course, because these are all clips from Final Cut TV and Coffee. No, I understand that. We are live right now. I won't say who it is. So you're saying the next Final Cut Pro update's forthcoming. Are you going to have features? That would be great. Is it going to be on a Tuesday or Thursday? Is it going to be, like I predicted, feature update around NAB? Final Cut Pro 11.1 just dropped, as we've been talking about for over 2 months. We talked about the Final Cut Pro team doing a feature update in time for NAB, and that's exactly what they've done. Final Cut Pro team, please get us the next update to Final Cut Pro, whatever that is. Some features would be great. We would love to have new features. That would be phenomenal. So what do you think about Final Cut Pro 11.1? This has got to be the fastest point number update in Final Cut Pro's history. Expect a feature or 2 or 3. And NAB is a good time. Final Cut Pro team. So that's just, you've been watching these shows. You know that I've been talking about a feature update in time for NAB. I didn't think it was going to be 11.1. That's just a naming thing, but I was expecting features, and I was expecting it before NAB, and that's exactly what the Final Cut Pro team did. Thank you, Final Cut Pro team. Thank you very much. We know you watch these shows. Couple more comments here. I insist about audio aspect because any work in videography, audio is important as video. Absolutely should have options to support audio inside Final Cut. I think once they get that audio mixer released, it'll help things. It'll help things. I love Logic as well. Logic is absolutely a fantastic, fantastic application, pro app. I use it all the time for my podcast. Final Cut Pro does need a mixer, but I wonder if many of us using it have gone deep enough into its abilities now. Well, it'll still be easy for you don't have to be a audio mixer, a recording studio enthusiast. There will be easier methods. For example, instead of putting all your audio clips inside of a compound clip, and then putting a limiter on that, and then you go to adjust it, and you got to open the compound clip up and all this back and forth clunky stuff. All you would do is assign the audio clips to a certain mixer channel, a roll to a mixer channel, put all your clips in that roll, and then you can go up and on the mixer channel, you can put effects, EQ, that Quantec, reverb, whatever the heck it is, compressors, etc., on the one channel, and everything in that channel will have that effect. You can go to the master bus and apply a limiter and stuff. This is what blows me away. 14 years of Final Cut Pro 10, we still don't have a master volume fader anywhere in the interface. You cannot adjust the master volume of Final Cut Pro, the output, anywhere. You can't do it. It's impossible. You cannot do it. So we don't even have a master audio fade after all these years. So that would be on the mixer as well. All your different rolls or tracks would be going into the mixer, and it would go to a master channel, and you'd have volume, you would have a limiter, you would have a compressor, you would have whatever else you wanted in that master volume channel strip. And you would have the ability to control the master volume. Here's my friend Luke. Hey, Richard, we are in an era where AI is taking on an important role. I agree. I feel like the Final Cut Pro team is slow to implement things. Well, they just added that playground, right? Which is kind of interesting, but, you know, I took some pictures of myself and put them in there. They look nothing like me. They look nothing like me whatsoever. There's no way I'd recognize those as being me, but I guess it'll get better and better, but they're starting to. Absolutely, AI is important. We need to control it, but it absolutely is important. It is definitely part of the future. Sometimes with adjustment layers, I like to have something that stops it from applying any deeper without locking it into a compound clip. You mean for audio? Oh, adjustment layers, yeah. So the things that the Final Cut Pro team picks for their feature updates always intrigues me. Listen, I'll say it again. I'm a big fan of 11.1. Absolutely a big fan of 11.1. I really, really like it.
Final Cut Pro 11.1 just dropped.
So this is what I was talking about. This is Dylan's young, let me see. This is either his son or his cousin. Look at him.
We're going to take a look at everything that's new. Before you update, the most important step is always backing up Final Cut Pro. To do so, you can simply go to Applications, locate Final Cut Pro, right-click on it, and then select Compress Final Cut Pro. This will create a zipped version of Final Cut Pro that you can later jump to if this version of Final Cut Pro happens to break a current project.
Obviously, I'm just teasing. He's got his hair cut. He used to have long blonde hair, and he just got it all cut and looks. He's still young. He's a youngster. Dual timelines would help when working inside a compound clip and still having its parent timeline open. So DaVinci Resolve, I think everybody has dual timelines. Put one above the other, and I can drag from one, drag to the other, instead of going back and forth to these ridiculous arrows. You don't know, is it left or is it right? I don't know. It disappears. Final Cut Pro is just a big mess with that. It's just very clunky, and I don't like it. I mean, how many times have I had 2 or 3, 4 projects open, working on them, and all of a sudden one of them, or they disappear from the selections, from the selection menus. It's just gone. I don't know why. They just disappeared. I don't have no idea. Must be frustrating situation when some places in Hollywood broadcast and others refuse any project because it's not a specific NLE or even a series of pre-approved camcorders. You're talking about Netflix has a list of cameras that they're on their approved list. So cameras are getting less. I mean, the Lumix S5 Mark IIX is a superb camera. I got a new lens for it, a new zoom. It's a 35 to 150 f2.0 to 2.8 zoom lens. It's a big honking lens, but I really, really like it. I'll be bringing it to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit so I can film some of these specific events, programs that go on. That the iPhone does a pretty good job, but not as good as the Lumix S5 Mark IIX by any stretch of imagination, for a couple $1,000. And the iPhone 16 Pro Max and the iPhone 15 Pro Max do a really good job of most of the time. And you can record Apple Log with those now. Phenomenal. So the cameras, the price have come down and stuff. As far as specifying an NLE, listen, I completely understand. If you're a Hollywood production company, and for the last 20 years, you've done all your productions on Avid, and you have all the infrastructure and all the RAIDs and all the connectivity and the cabling and all that, you're not going to switch to Final Cut. That would be insane. It would be insane. It's already done. It's already built. Hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars you spent on this system. The editors know Avid. That's completely fine. But Hollywood is not an expanding market, let's say, at least not in the theaters. There's fewer and fewer movies, and people are not going to see them. Now, Hollywood also does TV shows, okay? Severance, for example, on Apple TV, which I have not watched the third season, the next season, so don't tell me any spoilers. I haven't even watched that Apple clip because it says contains spoilers for the second season, so I'll watch it. I don't have Apple TV right now, so I'm not going to watch it until I get Apple TV. Subscribe for a month. I'll watch it, and then I'll cancel the subscription. TV is like the new Hollywood, so it isn't like the Hollywood films. It's like Hollywood television. There's no reason why those TV shows can't be cut in Final Cut Pro. 80% of them, I would say 60 to 80% of those shows that are on Netflix and on Apple TV and on Disney Plus could be cut in Final Cut Pro, period, or DaVinci Resolve. Maybe 20% still have to work with Avid. Avid, like I said, it's a tank. If you need a tank, use Avid. If you need a tank, use Avid. It doesn't bother me that they use Avid. There's nothing wrong with Avid. I know people who edit on Avid. That's completely fine. It's not my choice. I have my choice. You have your choice. DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut, DaVinci Resolve, LumaFusion for me, and then Logic Pro for my audio. If a youngster came up to me and said, hey, I'm just out of high school and I'm looking to get into video editing, I said, listen, here's what you do. Get the free version of DaVinci Resolve. Costs you nothing. It costs you absolutely nothing. Get the free version of iMovie. Learn how to edit with both of those. Both of those are free. If you want to advance, try the 90-day free trial of Final Cut Pro on a Mac, on a MacBook or a Mac Mini or another Mac. 90 days, you can try it for free. So that's 3 options right there. Once you learn the skills of editing, it's going to be easier to choose an NLE that you might want to choose for your career path. Don't just learn one NLE. That's a big mistake. If you want to go Hollywood and you want to learn Avid, that's fine. Also learn DaVinci Resolve, which is free, and also buy Final Cut Pro for $300 for the last 13, 14 years, $300. I think on a monthly basis, that's $1.87 at this point. That's what it costs per month, $1. I think I figured it out, not recently, but I think last time I figured it out. Buying Final Cut when it first came out, It's cost me $1.87 per month since it first came out. Absolutely save up and buy Final Cut. So that's my recommendation, and then you could learn Avid as well. A lot of the skills are common between all three of them. A lot of the skills are common between all three of those, so editing skills. Not what I was talking about. They refuse end projects all done based on the list of what projects have to filter projects. So I understand that they refuse, but you should know what the specs are before you should know what their specs are before you start your project. And if that's where you want your project to end up, you should listen to them. They're the boss of what they want. Listen to them and make sure you follow all their specs. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's just the way it is.
First feature that comes to Final Cut Pro.
So what else do we have here? Let's go to our friend.
Guys, Final Cut version.
Let's go to our friend, Jen Jager. Watch her tutorial a little bit.
11.1 just dropped. Let's take a look at what's new. And as always, I'm going to start with what I'm most excited about, native adjustment layers, finally. So adjustment layers allow you to apply multiple effects across multiple clips. And for years, a lot of third-party developers have been offering users adjustment layers for free because all they are empty titles. But in true Final Cut Pro fashion, Final Cut's been a little late to the game adding these natively, and yet they've upgraded the functionality of them. Let me show you what's different about these ones.
So that's our friend Jen. She talks about adjustment layers. Once again, these are all available on go to fcp.tv and you can find them all there.
Isn't in the titles and generators.
And we have one more. We'll just show you real quick.
Hey, have you heard?
One more from our friend Dylan John. Just play a little bit of it.
Released the new 11.1 update for Final Cut Pro. Is it hype? Is it cool? What's hot and what is not? I'm Dylan John, the FCP Don, and let's go over this newest update in the no fluff and fun way that we always do. First things first though, make sure you back up Final Cut Pro by going to your applications folder, finding Final Cut Pro, right-clicking and clicking compress. If you need to jump back to the old version of FCP, AI images that freak me out a little bit, I don't think look like me, but look pretty close to me. Anyways, let's say we select this one and you hit done. It gives you some suggestions of, for example, we can have me at sunset. We can have me with a beanie as well. So if you throw all these together, here is me with a beanie at sunset. If you wanted it to be more of like a cartoon style, you can click illustration, but from my test, this just looks like absolute garbage. So usually I would leave this on animation if I do use this, and if you wanted to add anything else, you would just type it in here, and then once you hit done, this is going to save to your library. So here we have this kind of scary shot of me, and then from there you can just drag it over your timeline and use it how you will. So
Yeah, so Image Playground, I did that. It looks nothing like me whatsoever. It looks ridiculous. So it's not anywhere close to being accurate. I mean, I just drug a picture of myself over and it just did not. Like they like to have exclusive partnerships with production vendors. They can't violate absolutely. Our friend Eric says adjustment clips, not layers. That's right. Layers used to be titles. Adjustment titles. But the reason I use that for my thing about the markers, draggable markers in the timeline, because you don't have to erase the word title from the title. It's nothing there. It's just a blank clip. So it's easy and it's built into Final Cut and you can add it for, like I said, option A is what I used it for. any feedbacks about uses of Final Finale plugin? I stopped buying those years ago. I don't get that involved with that anymore. Color Finale. I have Final Cut's become more sophisticated with its color, and I have a couple of color plugins, and I have DaVinci Resolve Studio. So if I need to go get serious with color correction, I'll just go in DaVinci Resolve. I mean, listen, I love text-based editing in DaVinci Resolve. It is so good and so powerful. I use it all the time. That one video that I did talking about features and NAB, I took all these Final Cut TV and Coffee clips from January, February, put them in DaVinci Resolve, selected 6 of them, and said transcribe. I come back a half hour later, they're all transcribed. And then I can just go to each one and say show transcription or whatever, and the transcript comes up, and I can search in the transcript for the word feature. And then I go through and find where the word feature is over and over and over again, and I just pull clips out of there. Or I look for NAB, and I looked, because I talked about a feature update around NAB, which is exactly, I did it 2 months ago, and that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. So very, very cool. Now, 11.2. Sometime between now and the Creative Summit. Could happen at the Creative Summit. Could be another big update. This is a nice medium-sized update. It's not nothing. It's not bug fixes. Well, it has some of those. It's just cool. The image playground integration is cool. I like that. And I can see that being useful in the future. Right now, it just looks, well, whatever. It looks ridiculous. If it looks something closer to me, I might use one, but it doesn't. So hopefully your anonymous source, Tim, is right. Yeah, that's hopefully. I expect to, so when we go to the Creative Summit, we go to the Apple campus. And if I'm not mistaken, sometimes I'm not paying attention, the last time they said we are allowed to take pictures outside as we're walking around. So I took pictures last time. I'm going to put some up as we get closer to the new Creative Summit. One of these times I expect to be walking outside, and I expect my friend Tim to grab me from the bushes and pull me in and give me some secrets or whatever. We'll see if that ever happens. But anyway, yeah, not that excited about NAB this year. This is the first time I've not been excited about it. I'm very excited about what's coming for the Creative Summit because we got 11.1 already. Logic took 1 year to go from 11 to 11.1. From one Creative Summit to the next Creative Summit, Logic was 11.0 in 2023 and 11.1 in 2024. So Final Cut is already at 11.1, and it's got some nice features. Text-based editing, I want to see, and I want to see a role space mixer. Those two are on the top of my list. There's lots of other small things. Lots of other small things. Give me a scrubbable project in the browser, for God's sake. I mean, come on. You have it in the share menu. All the other clips can be scrubbed, but the project can't be? Do you find Final Cut Pro Team and Apple getting more open lately with us? At the Creative Summit, absolutely. At the Creative Summit, they've never, in 2024, they're always friendly. They have never been better than 2024. And I expect that going forward is going to continue. Peter Stenauer was there. Our friend Bill Davis, he's in charge of the Final Cut Pro app. Extremely friendly and open. And even though they don't, they can't talk about some things, they did talk about other things. One of the things they said this time, it's been obvious to me since the beginning, is Final Cut Pro on the Mac over here and Final Cut on the iPad over here are not meant to have feature parity. They are not the same application, and they're going their separate ways. They're going their separate ways. They are not meant to be the same application. They are not meant to have feature parity. They told us that last time. Okay, that's good to know. Not that I've never used Final Cut on the iPad, and I have no intention of renting another piece of software, subscribing to another piece of software. Small developers, that's fine. Apple does not need my $4.99 a month. Give me the option to get a perpetual license for 1 year, 2 years, whatever you want to do. I'm not paying $4.99 a month. I don't even care if it turns out to be the same amount of money as buying it outright. It's the principle. It's the principle of it. I'm not going to do that. I don't need it. I've got the MacBook. I got the DJI Mini, which is fantastic, Mini Pro. I mean, I got the Mac Mini Pro, which is really, really good. Absolutely. Final Cut Pro users' feedback get read and take into account for real. They do. They do. They absolutely read everything. It doesn't mean they're going to respond to everything, but they do read it. Aside from lack of Final Cut Pro to NAB, why not attend NAB? There seems to be more Creator Lab content. I've attended in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and then 2022, 2023, and 2024, or 2023 and 2024. I've attended all those years, not during the COVID years, of course. Here's the reason I go to NAB. Final Cut Pro. If there's Final Cut Pro events, if there's a Faster Together stage, if there's going to be a presentation from the Final Cut Pro team, if there is going to be a Final Cut Pro Guru gathering, or even a super meet. If there's a super meet, I would go. No super meet for years, no Faster Together stage, no presentation from the Final Cut Pro team anywhere. They meet behind closed doors with developers. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. Public-facing Final Cut Pro promotional events. There's none of them there. That's the only reason I went to the NAB starting in 2016 was for Final Cut Pro events. Now, I love the Blackmagic area. It's gigantic. They're the best people. They have the best presentations. They have classes, et cetera, et cetera. Great software and hardware. So they're really cool. I would go if there's a super meet. I'd say, okay, I'll go see Blackmagic and there's going to be a super meet. There's no central event like that at NAB. Everything is scattered. I've been there many, many times. You get very tired walking around, looking this, looking that, looking this. If there's nothing central to draw me there, I'm not going. And there's nothing central this year that's drawing me there. I had tickets. I haven't canceled my reservations yet, but I don't intend to go. There's nothing central, no central event. Strata's not having a party like they had last year. Michael Cioni had a party on Saturday night. That was very cool. We got together there. He's not having one this year. Now, it's expensive. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, but there's nothing central for me to go and say, okay, there's a super meet. Okay, there's a Faster Together stage. Okay, there's a Final Cut Pro Guru gathering. The only reason I went to NAB ever was for Final Cut Pro. That's what got me there, and that's what kept me coming there. That's dissipated. There's no Final Cut Pro centric events. Like I said, if there's a super meet, I would go. No super meet. If there was a Faster Together stage, I would go. If there, whatever, but there's none of that's there. It's just, you go to this giant event, which I really, really like, but there's no central thing that's happening. It's everything. Everybody has their own individual booths, and everybody's here, and everybody's there, and everybody's here, and everybody's there. But there's no central events, no big central events that I can grab onto and say I have to go in person because of this event. If there was a super meet, I would go. even if there's no Final Cut Pro event, because there'd be Final Cut Pro people at the Super Meet. Blackmagic's the last thing that attracts me to NAB, but Blackmagic will announce all their products before NAB on the internet. They'll have a live stream with Grant Petty talking about DaVinci Resolve 19.5 or beta version of 20.2.20, beta version of 20, whatever they're going to announce. They'll do it online before NAB. You don't have to be at NAB to see that. I agree, nothing at NAB for Final Cut Pro folks. I don't have any principles. I buy the yearly sub for Final Cut Pro for iPad. It's not principles. It's not principles. It's just, I don't need it. Why, when I used the iPad version when I got the Mac version? The Mac version is more powerful than the iPad version. I have a Mac Mini that's more powerful than my iPad. I have a MacBook Pro that's more powerful than my iPad. It has more powerful features, professional features. So I got LumaFusion on the iPad. If I want to edit on the iPad, I got LumaFusion. And I can edit with LumaFusion on my iPhone. And I can edit with LumaFusion on my Mac. And I can edit with LumaFusion on a Chromebook. And I can edit with LumaFusion on a Android device. The Final Cut for iPad is limited just to the recent iPads. LumaFusion's, in my opinion, is a much better deal. One-time purchase price, and it's across all your devices. Nothing wrong with Final Cut for iPad. Yep, I use Final Cut for iPad for fun and curiosity mostly. I understand that. Now, let me say this about Final Cut for iPad. Number one, I'm not going to rent it. I'm not going to subscribe. I absolutely refuse to do that. So I'm not going to try it. I don't want to try it. I got LumaFusion. It's fine. It's a very cool application. Give me the option to buy it outright. Listen to your customers. I'm a customer. I don't want a subscription. Give me the option to buy a version for a year or 2 years with updates. But at the end of that year, that version keeps working. Don't tell me at the end of that year I can't use it anymore. No, that's the kind of subscription that I hate. Let me keep using the version that I bought and paid for. If the subscription runs out, I just don't get any new updates or new features. That would be fine. I would do that. I'm not going to give Apple another subscription. They got iCloud, a couple of other ones. I have the $3 a month one. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. It's fine. If you want to get it, here's one of the good things about it. The subscription model is extremely reasonable and affordable. $4.99 a month is completely fine. The fact that you can stop and start the subscription in your phone. So if I wanted to try it, I tried for 30 days. If I wanted to continue, I would get the subscription for 1 month. As soon as I sign up for the subscription, I can go in my phone under settings, iCloud, subscriptions, and I could cancel the Final Cut for iPad subscription immediately. It's simple to do. It'll run for the entire month. At the end of the month, it won't automatically renew. It won't automatically renew. If I could buy a version of it, I don't need it. I have Final Cut Pro on the Mac. I have DaVinci Resolve Studio on the Mac. I have LumaFusion on my iPad, my iPhone. I have Logic Pro on the Mac. I don't need Final Cut on the iPad. I just don't need it. I'd be surprised if they had more than a few 10,000 users of the iPad version versus 5 or 6 million Final Cut on the Mac versions. I'd be surprised if it was over a few 10,000s. Nothing seems to compete with DaVinci Resolve at NAB. They do softwares and hardwares like their target each and everything. Yes, I know. I'm torn. Like I said, I have reservations. I haven't canceled yet, but I'm not planning on going. I'm planning on canceling. I went to NAB strictly for Super Meets and FMC classes for Final Cut Pro. FMC still has some classes for Final Cut Pro. So if that's what the regions you're going, you can still get those, plus other classes. Super Meets, absolutely. If they had a Super Meet, I'd be there. Super Meet's a great event. It's a fantastic event. Haven't had them for years. Michael and Dan split up. Dan had one Super Meet kind of thing in a restaurant on top during COVID. And it was really good, but nothing since then. Nothing since then. iCloud option inside Final Cut for sharing would also be a collaborative option. Absolutely. Absolutely. So once again, Final Cut for iPad is a really, really cool application, especially if you're just starting out and you don't have a Mac, you're just going to stick on the iPad. It's fantastic. It's easy to start and stop subscriptions. It's completely reasonable, $5 a month. I don't need it. I don't like it. I like my iPad. I mean, I like my MacBook Pro. I like my Mac Mini Pro. I like DaVinci Resolve Studio. I like LumaFusion on the iPad and LumaFusion on my phone. I can't do that with Final Cut on the iPad, but it's really, really a cool thing. It's really cool. I really like it. Don't get me wrong. Just because I don't want it, I don't want to use it. I have no intentions of using it unless they let me pay for it in advance. But it's a really cool, powerful application. I love using the pencil. I absolutely love that. So I got enough to worry about now. Like I said, I'm going to take the DaVinci Resolve classes at the end of April this year. I'm going to make myself, I got them on my calendar. I'm going to sit down through the whole class and take it so I can learn the ins and outs more of DaVinci Resolve, because I'm like Swiss cheese with DaVinci Resolve. I got a lot of knowledge with a lot of holes. Like, I just trying to learn how to do stuff and I don't know how to do it, and I do it in Final Cut. But anyway, Final Cut for iPad is fine. It's really cool if that's what you're into for the iPad. It has the pencil. You can write on the screen, which is really cool. It has the live multicam thing. But see, I'm doing that right here on my Macintosh with Ecamm Live. I'm doing live multicam right now. I have multiple cameras. There's 2 cameras. I could have 3 cameras, 4 cameras, 5 cameras, whatever I want. On the Mac, there's no reason why you can't have live multicam on the Macintosh. 0 reason. I've been doing it for years, live multicam on the Macintosh. Ecamm Live records the program, and it records individual ISOs of every video or every guest that I have, and individual audio of every audio source that I have. So there's absolutely no reason you can't do live multicam on the Macintosh, other than they don't want to do it because they want something specifically that the iPad version, that the Mac version doesn't have. Well, that's fine. Nothing wrong with it. It's fine. It's just not for me. It is not for me. I just don't care about it. But I'm glad that they have it. I'm glad that they put it out there for people that want it. Absolutely. Yeah, sharing would be good. Everybody talks about that. There's plenty of things I'd like to see. We'll see what happens. I mean, movable markers, it took them 14 years to get movable markers. It seems so strange. Seems like an elementary thing, but we don't know how they develop it. They said, one of the things they said at 2023 is, we hear the list of things people want. We hear that we don't update as often as a lot of people would like us to, but we know Final Cut Pro the best. This is the Final Cut Pro team. We know Final Cut Pro the best, and we know how to add the features that work, that don't interfere with performance and stuff. I understand all that. Nobody's questioning that. But you have to listen to your customers too. You have to listen to your customers. That's who's paying the bills. You're not paying the bills. Your customers are paying the bills. But Final Cut Pro team, we know, you know that we love you. The Final Cut for iPad team, absolutely. Don't get the wrong impression. The Final Cut for iPad is fine. That's fine. You need the $5 a month to buy cigarettes or coffee or whatever you're buying. That's fine. It's just not for me. I'm not going to do any subscription. I don't need it. I have everything that I need, more than I need at this point. I don't even know if I even used it if I got it. But I would buy it. I would buy it to support you if I could buy it outright. $49, give me a year. Even though it's the same price as the subscription, I don't want the subscription. I do not want another subscription. That's what I object to. Creator Summit, Final Cut Pro without Final Cut Pro at NAB. What do you think about the impact for us and Apple? Well, Creator Summit by far is the best and biggest Final Cut Pro event in the world every year. Hands down, it's fantastic. We get together for 3 days, sometimes 4 days. You have sessions all day long. You get to meet with people like myself. I met Luke last time and his son there at the Creative Summit. Other people I've met at the Creative Summit. In person, you get to have coffee and donuts. My friend Brad Olson last time bought these fantastic donuts. They're fresh made. They were still hot down in the lobby. I came down one morning for the day and he said, "Oh, you got to grab one of these donuts." And I went over there. I said, phenomenal. Coffee with friends, Final Cut Pro. All you talk is Final Cut Pro for like 3 days. You get to go to the Spaceship Campus. You can't buy your way into the Spaceship Campus, but you can go to the Spaceship Campus, see a presentation from the Final Cut Pro team, from the Final Cut iPad team, from the Logic, sometimes Pro team. Hasn't been much motion stuff at these events, although they do teach some motion classes. And there's an expo night, which all the vendors are out there. It's phenomenal, but there's been no announcement yet. After NAB, after FMC gets NAB off their plate, then I'll start hearing about if there's going to be a Creative Summit. It'll most likely be in November, second, third week of November, sometimes the first week. It could be any day of the week. It's been Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's been Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's been Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So no bets on when that's going to happen. They have to work out their schedule with Apple. But anyway, if it happens, I'll probably start hearing something in May, perhaps. The initial plans, initial dates. I can't tell you anything until FMC makes it public. But usually I'll get information, start getting information in May. The Final Cut Pro Creative Summit is the perfect place to exchange ideas about our different workflows and learn even more from each other's experiences. It's the best. I look forward to it absolutely every year. And I met Luke and his son last year. They were there. I want a good credit roll clip for Final Cut Pro. Not happy with any third-party attempts. It's just a kind of update that would have us saying, huh? I agree with that. I don't know. I thought they did somebody has a good credit roll. Working on television, I don't use rolling credits. Splash on for me. Rolling is more for film, in my opinion. That's an interesting point. Very interesting point. Apple compressor is very complex. If you want to explore it fully, you should talk about it to some degree, I think. Absolutely. Compressor is very, very cool. Very cool. But since I mostly post to social media, with the exception of the film. I have a 2.5-hour documentary that I've been working on for years that we've shown 3 times locally in the Washington, D.C. area. We're probably going to have another showing of it in the theater this fall or this winter, probably. So that'll be the 4th showing. We like showing it in the theater. It's a real nice event for us. It makes it special. Every time we show it is special. Yeah, they don't really, I mean, compressor is powerful, but that's like a workflow thing. I mean, it is very powerful and they do some good stuff with it. I just stick with Final Cut Pro for the most part. Once I use Logic, once in a while I'll dabble into Motion, but not very often. It's just, I don't need any more. I'm going to learn DaVinci Resolve. Absolutely going to learn DaVinci Resolve better than I have, and I plan they have free classes at the end of this month. And FMC has a whole track, mostly Premiere and Adobe products, After Effects, and whatever their audio is. A lot of DaVinci Resolve stuff and some Final Cut Pro stuff. Let's go over there and look right now. I'll go over there, bring that up. Let's see what's going on over there at NAB. But yeah, could I change my mind at the last minute? I still can, but I'm not planning on it. I'm planning on not going this year, but we'll see. NAB show. So we have this. It's NAB show. Here it is here. Exhibits, schedule. Let's see this. Thursday, April 3rd, April 4th. I don't get there until Saturday if I go. So it won't be that. There's a lot of stuff, but there's no central event like a super meet or something that I really want to go to. So I would get there on Saturday, but not until the late afternoon, early evening. And then they do have an event on Sunday night, but it's not. FMC is the biggest at NAB. Look at all these different things that they have. Phenomenal stuff. Audio skills for video editors, that looks pretty cool. iPhone production, a practical approach to creating content. This is very cool. FMC is absolutely the biggest. Look at all these classes that they have. Ask Me Anything, AI. Flying solo, being a crew of one. Absolutely. If you want to take classes, this is a fantastic. Get the FMC package for sure. There's so many different things that's going on. Let's go back here. Exhibits. Program pricing, that's a different thing. Innovation Hub, Creator Lab, Futures Park. Yeah, Premier Park. Let me just check. So, yeah, I'm not, like I said, I already got my classes. I mean, I've already got my tickets, but I don't really plan on going. I think I'm going to skip it this year. As we've all talked about. Let's hear from you. What do you think about Final Cut Pro 11.1? What do you think about Final Cut Pro 11.1? I like it a lot. They snuck it in here before NAB. It'll help create a little bit of buzz around NAB. But if you want to sponsor me to go to NAB, get in contact with me. Maybe I'll change my mind, but I don't think I will. At this point, if you want to sponsor me going to NAB, I would do live interviews with people and broadcast live and stuff. you have to let me know this week, the next couple of days. I've interviewed lots of people over the years, lots of people at NAB, plenty of people. But this year, I don't think so. Let me just pull up. Let me just pull this up. So one of the people that I interviewed, here, let's do this one. This is a very cool one.
Can I get a picture?
This is a very cool one that I did last year.
Yeah, no problem. By the way, fantastic keynote Friday.
Oh, thanks.
Absolutely
Grant
fantastic.
Petty.
It's over 2 hours long.
Yeah, it was really long.
I love Resolve 19.
It just got longer, and it's like, well, what do? You kind of cut so much out that you don't make any sense.
Right.
It's a bit tough to know how much to cut out, but
Great job.
I'm glad it was useful. Like, that's the thing. I always think that, like, I've just sort of deliver all the detail, and some of it's good. Most of it's good, you hope. Sometimes there's some caveats or not bad things, but like, no, it can do this or can't do that. I reckon if you just get all the information out there, and everyone else can kind of work out, oh, yeah, okay, that's important, that fixes that, or this is that. You don't quite know. Like, when I was an engineer working in post, you kind of just tell people what's going on, and then they kind of know whether it's good or not. I don't actually, like, I'm hoping it's good. Like, we're going to find out pretty quickly if it's not.
Oh, sure.
Like, the replay stuff, I'm nervous as hell about the replay.
Is that right?
I've used it, and so I'm thinking it's good, but you don't know until guys are off. Even last night, I thought of a new way of doing, like, using it.
Sure.
So every time you use it, you go, oh, why aren't I doing this? I should be using an endpoint for that.
Sure.
So it's just a lot of reiteration. And being in DaVinci, it's good because it means we can keep changing it. But that's what makes me always nervous coming to the start of the show.
No.
If someone comes up and goes, oh, but you didn't do this. It's like, oh, God, I forgot to put, like, how could I be so stupid not to think of that?
No, I understand.
But that's the reality of coming here, isn't it?
Resolve 19 is
I
fantastic.
know. What I love about Resolve 19, it's particularly exciting. It was a huge risk putting Fusion and Fairlight in it, but now they're actually interacting. So you've got like a tracker from the video side, moving the audio, pounding the audio around on the audio side. And that's the bit that's really exciting, because we had to spend a few years rewriting the code. Like when Fusion went in, it was only Windows will be fired Fusion.
Okay.
We had to get a cross-platform, we had to change a lot of code, get it in there, we had to replace the frameworks, get it a lot of speed. It's got the USD and everything in it now. And now you've got it all interacting with the different sides. And that's where I think it's really exciting, because we don't know what that's going to be.
It's brilliant.
If you've got audio and editing in the same app, and then 3D environments in Fusion, like, what does that mean? Like, it kind of gives you this capability of doing pretty much anything you want. So I don't quite know what the future of that's going to be, but we're already starting to do some things now, and it's really exciting. So
It's brilliant.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Brilliant
Yeah.
way you incorporate all those apps
It's
into
the things
one.
we don't know what the future's going to be. It's actually
Well,
most exciting.
Exactly.
Because like then you're talking to people and it's like, oh yeah, so we've got a 3D environment, we can do this.
Right.
So that gets really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. Yeah. Good talk to you. Take care. Bye everyone.
Say that again.
See you. Bye everyone.
You mean like
That was one of the highlights last year, was interviewing Grant Petty. Absolutely was. And that's one of the things that I'd be looking at doing again if I went this year. But at this point, I'm not looking like I'm going to. Daniel said, just my opinion, no Final Cut Pro, no NAB. I understand completely. DaVinci Resolve is so special. Absolutely it is. Haven't tried the new features yet, but I like that they may have made the magnetic mask even better. That's another improvement. Better, faster, more stable. Though I found it quite good and useful already. Might use the adjustment clip for my next longer. Yeah, the adjustment clip is cool. The movable markers is cool. The renaming audio effects, the improvements to the Magic Mask, that digital reverb that they developed for Logic Pro is fantastic. The ability to do Shift F twice to get to a clip that's inside of a multicam clip to locate it in the browser and stuff. Those are all very, very, very cool things. Thank you, Final Cut Pro team. I know you watched this. Thank you for doing this update to Final Cut Pro before NAB, even though I'm probably not going. If anybody out there wants to sponsor me to go to NAB, contact me within the next day or two, and I'll see if I don't cancel my plans. But it's a lot of money. It's a couple $1,000 typically, $1,800 to $2,000 between airfare, between Ubers, between meals, and between the hotel. So if you want to sponsor me to go to NAB, you got to contact me quickly, and I'll reconsider not canceling my plans. But at this point, I'm going to cancel. It's just not enough. I know I get tired every time I go there, the first day, second day, third day. By the time the third day is, I'm like, man, I wish I could be home already because I'm so tired. But I really enjoy Blackmagic. Blackmagic, if you want to sponsor me coming out there, let me know. Anybody else that wants to be a sponsor, you only got a day or two before I change my mind. You can contact me on my YouTube channel. You can contact me in email, whatever. On Facebook groups. Don't forget to subscribe over there in the YouTube channel. Don't forget, this is my YouTube channel. YouTube.com at Richard Taylor TV, of course. And this is our Facebook groups. Facebook.com/groups, Final Cut TV Radio. That's where you want to jump in if you want to talk about Final Cut Pro. And of course, this information. So let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me turn that off. Is the Final Cut Pro team as friendly as the DaVinci team? They're both extremely professional. Final Cut Pro team is extremely friendly. It is extremely friendly. Everybody on there last time, we had a really, really good queue. There's two things that happen at the Creative Summit. Number one, they give us a professional presentation of the latest things in Final Cut Pro. Number two is we have a Q&A session with the Final Cut Pro team in the front of the room, and they ask questions. You can pre-submit your questions, and I'll answer a lot of those. I asked questions last time, and they answered them the best they could. Very, very friendly. You could walk up to them, ask them all kind of questions, just, thing. I was pleasantly surprised that we got to see Grant Petty last time. That's one of the things that I'm going to be missing this time if I don't go, is Grant Petty. Oh, wow, there's a lot of those. We'll play one more. From last year. See, this is one of the things that is not going to be there this year. It's kind of disappointing, but it's not. It was Michael Cioni's had a party, the Strata party on Saturday night. But he's not having one this year.
Just over mine. I paid $25 for water. You're still waiting. Audio versus visual. Can't do that yet. What we have to do is what's the time?
During the rainy season, what was your time frame versus 1 o'clock?
Well, not really. They just want to come by the booth, but still. So that's okay. I just got his.
I'm flying back real here. I didn't want to shoot us
So I was like, you did Tuesday night. It's like weird, like, and I got
I'm like, I'm so tired that I can't drink too much.
How you been doing? Good. How about you? Reality
Okay. There it is. That's it. He's the guy. Right there.
So that was Michael Cioni's Strata party on Saturday night last year, but he's not having one this year. So once again, these are the kind of events that draw me to NAB. Very specific gatherings of people that are into Final Cut Pro and some other things. I don't know of a single event at NAB this year that would be like that. That would be the Strata party. That would be a super meet. That would be a Final Cut Pro team event. That would be a super meet. There's nothing there that would gets me to go from the East Coast to NAB. So if you want me to go to NAB and you want to sponsor me, contact me within the next day or two, and I might change my mind. But like I said, it costs like $1,800 to $2,000 for me to go there. So I'm not planning on it this year. It's just, I still have reservations. But it doesn't look good. It's just not, there's nothing centrally there. The biggest thing that I'll miss is going to the Blackmagic booth. But they're going to present all of their stuff before NAB online, all the new stuff, new DaVinci Resolve, whatever they have. Anyway, let me know. Is anybody else going to NAB this year from the audience? Is anybody going to NAB? I mean, if I went, I would be promoting Final Cut Pro 11.1, but I need sponsorship in order to go there. In order to change my mind, I need some sponsorship. All right. Anything else you want to say about 11.1? This is your chance. This is the worldwide Final Cut Pro community chance to talk about Final Cut Pro. The Final Cut Pro team watches these, so when you make a comment, they see your comments. They absolutely see your comments. And if I end up not going to NAB, then May-ish, I should know something about the Creative Summit, and I won't be able to say anything more than FMC allows me to say. I would never say anything before they make official announcements or they say, hey, you can say this about the Creative Summit. Yes, there's going to be one. Yes, it's going to be in November. Other than that, they don't. Usually everything is till FMC makes their official announcement, even though I say I know what's going on ahead of time. When they were in FCP in Montreal, DaVinci was there too in persons. I haven't managed to crash 11.1 yet. Very, very good. Now, of course, before you update to 11.1, like everybody says, make a backup copy of 11.0.1. I made my backup copy for sure. So anyway, you can go to fcpx.tv and you can see I'll have the tutorials up there, all the different 11.1 tutorials. And we'll be back. Anything else about 11.1? Do you have any other comments that you like it, that you want to see this feature, that this is your favorite feature? There's like 5 or 6 features in 11.1 that I really, really like. We absolutely want to say thank you to the Final Cut Pro team. We want to make sure that they feel welcome. They're always welcome here. They always watch this show. Looking forward to the Creative Summit. NAB, I don't think so. Unless somebody comes in the next day or two and does a major sponsor, then I would reconsider. But at this point, no. At this point, I'm not. It's just no reason for me to go there. When I go there, it's very tiring. I'm excited about Final Cut Pro 11.1. I really like it. I like it better than 11. I like it better than 11.0.1. It seems, for me, it's very stable. They added some new features. They added an improved, that masking thing is just going leaps and bounds through the roof. If your stream lasts longer, Tim will call again. He might, but I'm not going to. We've been on for almost 2 hours. That's plenty. 1 hour, 52, 50, whatever. Lots of people watching. We got 60, 70 people watching live right now, 80 people. It's hard to tell with Facebook. Usually Facebook has 100 or more. So we got like 100, 150 people watching live right now. And I really appreciate each and every one of you for coming into these Final Cut TVs and coffees every Saturday. My friend Luke, who I met at the Creative Summit last year, which hopefully I'll meet you again this year. That'll be phenomenal. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks each and every one of you for tuning in to these on Saturday. I don't expect anything during the week. I'm going to put up another tutorial. I have a couple of tutorials, one about movable markers, one not a tutorial, just talking about it. English Playground doesn't work on non-English language support. That's interesting. I did not know that. That's good to know. Thank you for letting us know that. This is your event. All the listeners, I come here every Saturday so you can chime in. Let the Final Cut Pro team, they watch this, so whatever you tell them, they will see. Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think, everybody? Anything you'd like to tell the Final Cut Pro team before we sign off? Do you like certain aspects of 11.1? It seems very stable, very snappy. Final Cut's finally getting there. Of course, I'm on an M4 Mac Mini Pro, so I really like that thing. It is the tiniest little thing, and it's very, very powerful. Keep up the good work, Pro Team. Yeah, whenever I say Pro Team, the captions say protein. Make AI available in the whole world. Absolutely. I think that's coming. I do believe that is coming for you. So, all right, everyone. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks to each and every one of you. Thanks to the Final Cut Pro team. Yes, FCP 11.2 with audio mixer. That would be fine. That would absolutely be fine. That's it's coming. They're going to have one. Maybe they'll have it for the Creative Summit. What to see. Get through the summer. The summer is a very slow time for Final Cut Pro news typically, but we'll still try to do all these on Saturdays. At least pop on for 30 minutes or so. I'm going to use 10 o'clock as my normal time from now on, unless I have to do something at 10 o'clock, and then I'll switch it back. So just pay attention. All right, everybody, don't forget, subscribe and like over there on my YouTube channel. Richard Taylor TV over there on YouTube. It helps. I do make a little bit of money from Google. They have paid me hundreds of dollars. And join the Facebook group, Final Cut TV Radio over there on Facebook. We have lots of stuff going on there. Till the next time, until next Saturday, if not before, I'll probably have another tutorial up on Final Cut Pro 11.1. I'm really liking it. The Final Cut Pro team did an excellent job. Coffee link? You mean buy me a coffee? All right, let me go over there and find that. Let me see, log in. I have to log in. See. There we go. Huh. Here it is. Here is my $2,000 coffee. Let me go over to Facebook. I'll put that up there. Somehow I lost my link. Here we go. Where's live stream? Come on now. I got to go back over there and I'll put the link in over there. Let me see. Here we go. There it is. Let me put this up. So there are coffee links over there on the Facebook page, which is right here. buymeacoffee.com/Richard Taylor. If you want to buy me, if you want me to go to NAB, get me lots of coffees over there. It says, buy him a $2,000 coffee. You can contact me. I'll decide in the next couple of days if I cancel my reservations. If I got some companies that want to sponsor me going to NAB, I certainly will reconsider. Yes, they have improved stability, but these new features don't change my life. The real breakthrough was a magnetic mask, and that was truly an important innovation, and it's improved in 11.1. It's better. I would expect something more substantial, but above all, they should fix the old bugs like the keyframe handling and the transform section. Not disagreeing with anything like that. Just buy me a $2,000 coffee. If you bought me a $2,000 coffee, I would go to NAB. There's some more thumbs up, absolutely. Here is the link, but just contact me and say you want to sponsor me going to NAB. You want to sponsor me for a few $100, $500, $1,000, whatever. I'll reconsider and I'll go to NAB, and then yes, you would be a sponsor. You would be interviewed at NAB. You would have lots of opportunities, but short of that, I'm not likely to go. But thank you so much, everybody. You're absolutely the best. Absolutely the best audience of any Final Cut Pro live stream. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you. Leave comments down below in the YouTube chat. But if I don't see you before then, I'll see you next Saturday. Thank you.